proving the power not merely of democratic government, but of individuals, families, businesses, and educators to lead in their communities during a crisis. And today, our state health officer informed me the spread of COVID-19 is likely declining in Washington state. We see this in the analysis of point-in-time data on hospitalizations, in confirmed cases and deaths from the beginning of this crisis to now. Now, we know this crisis has shaken all of us. Our difficult but necessary decisions in this fight have been painful for Washingtonians. Some of you watching right now understandably want to know when you can move on. Some Washingtonians want to know whether they'll make rent or mortgage payments. Some are families who've put weddings on hold. Workers feel the burning need to get back to the stability and pride derived from their labors. And business owners want to unlock their doors again and tell their regulars, we're back. So tonight, I'd like to talk with you about what the process of lifting COVID-19 restrictions will look like. And it will look more like a turning of a dial than the flip of a switch. We're going to take steps and then monitor to see whether they work or if we must continue to adapt. We will not be able to lift many of the restrictions by May 4th. And we will let you know when we can lift those restrictions just as soon as we know. You know, Washington's likely decline in the spread of COVID-19 is encouraging. In the coming days, we will receive additional health modeling projecting the course of this virus. And we hope it will give us cause to begin lifting certain restrictions. Now, because of the great work in our hospital system, for instance, we believe we can soon allow some elective surgeries to resume, provided health professionals have appropriate personal protective equipment. We also hope we can begin to let people take part in more outdoor recreation that is so much part of our identity as well as our physical and mental health. And because of the collaborative work my office has been able to do with the construction industry and labor unions, we have come up with a sensible plan for allowing limited return to construction with safety measures in place. Now, we hope that the data comes in the next few days so we can implement these measures. And we can modify some of these restrictions in the coming weeks if the health modeling holds up. The health of Washingtonians is our top priority. We need healthy people in order to build a healthy economy. The data tells us that if we were to lift all restrictions right now, or even 2 weeks from now, this decline would almost certainly stop, and the spread of COVID-19 would go up. Our gains in this fight have been hard-won thanks to the sacrifices of countless Washingtonians. And to turn back on this successful temporary approach now would be disastrous. So this recovery requires a strategic approach guided by science, not politics. And it does not differ greatly from the recovery plans of other Western states. It does not differ greatly from the principles of the White House's National Recovery Outline either. Our recovery begins with widely available testing for individuals who may have COVID-19, tracing with whom they have had contact, and having individuals isolate or quarantine if they could be transmitters of the virus. Now, between our state and local health jurisdictions, we expect roughly 1,500 workers focused solely on contact tracing by the second week of May. This workforce will be a rapid response team, somewhat like a fire brigade. You know, when your house catches fire, you call the fire department, and they come quickly. We are standing up a broad workforce that will see something similar involving state employees from the Department of Health, our local health jurisdictions, members of the Washington National Guard, volunteer healthcare workers, and many others. Now, our state and others unfortunately remain drastically behind on what we need for testing supplies. The simple fact is that the nation is sorely lacking test kits, And today I sent a letter to the Vice President saying as much. The governors are not wrong on this, both Republicans and Democrats. In Washington, we have more lab capacity than we have test kits, and a lack of supplies that keep us from getting everyone tested who should be. A variety of barriers have kept us from taking more than about 4,000 tests per day. We need to be processing about 20 to 30,000 tests a day for our contact tracing plan to really work. We need swabs, vials, reagents, and other supplies and personnel. We're doing all we can in this state to acquire that. We need the federal government to help us more. Now, until we have a COVID-19 vaccine, workplaces are going to look much different.